You're listening to the Minutes on Growth podcast, the show that brings you mindfully curated insights into relationships, spirituality, personal development, and everything in between, with your host, Tannaz Hosseinpour. Hi, soul friends. It's Tannaz Hosseinpour, and welcome back to another short solo episode of the Minutes on Growth podcast. I just realized it's been a month since my last episode. Time truly flies. I have set an intention to release more episodes this summer, but honestly, a lot has happened this past month with Ash and I getting engaged, which I'll definitely talk more about in upcoming episodes, but we've been really busy with that. Anyways, today I wanted to briefly share 5 habits that Ash and I have been extremely intentional with every single day for these past couple of months that has truly elevated our relational experience. And they're honestly so simple, and one might even say basic, that they don't feel significant enough to cause such a grand transformation. But I really want you all to try it out and to experience and see firsthand how powerful each one of these 5 elements are. So I want to begin with gratitude, and we've talked a lot about it before, and the power of gratitude and how it influences our physical health, our mental health, how valuable it is in the art of conscious manifestation and just elevating our own experience of reality. But today I really want to focus on how powerful and transformational gratitude is in relationships as well. A lot of the time, we appreciate our partner, who they are, how they show up, what they do, but we don't vocalize it. And, when they bring up their concerns, we're like, no, I really do appreciate that you do X, Y, and Z. But then we realize, wow, I haven't really told them that I appreciate it. It's like we're expecting them to read our mind. And this is the secret here. It's to vocalize it as much as possible. It is the best feeling in the world when people acknowledge our efforts, whether it's at work or, with our friends and with our family, and they see us and they hear us. So when we express to our partners gratitude and appreciation, they feel like all the effort that they're putting into the relationship is being recognized. And that itself becomes motivation to continue doing all the great things that they're doing and to even become better at it. It also gives the other person this feeling that I am good enough, which that on its own is a game changer, because we are living in a society, as I've mentioned before, that is constantly trying to convince us that we're not enough, that we're not pretty enough, we're not rich enough, we're not doing enough, we don't have enough time. So to be in a relationship where that energy of enoughness is present, that's sacred. So the simple thank you for helping me out with my errands, or thank you for grabbing me a glass of water or coffee, or thank you for checking in with me today when you knew I was having, a hard time or I was nervous about my appointment, or simply thank you for listening to me. It goes a long way in our relationships. And we want to make sure that we're not taking our partners for granted, and that they know that we see their efforts and that we appreciate those efforts and we honor those efforts. Next off, we have the power of active listening. Oftentimes, we're with our partners and they're speaking to us, but we're not really present with them. Our mind is processing a conversation we had earlier at work, or we're thinking about, tomorrow's to-do list. And in those moments when we're not fully present, the other party might pick up on that and they might take it personally. And as a result, they might start to feel overlooked or not important enough or not heard, which then can cause disconnection. And which causes more disconnection as the cycle continues. So it's super important when someone is speaking to us that we're actually listening and hearing them and trying to understand them. Now, this doesn't mean that, if our partner brings up a topic, then we're obligated at that time to be fully present. No, we might actually be busy. We might have a very busy mind, even if we're not doing anything with our hands. And it's important in those moments to communicate that to our partner of, hey, I have a lot on my mind. Can we please talk about this tomorrow? But in those moments that we've both agreed to talk and to connect and to communicate, to fully be present with one another. And the art of active listening also includes the ability for us to hear what the other person isn't saying. So picking up on the other party's, body language. Do they look nervous? Are they fidgety? For example, I have eczema, and when I'm stressed out, my skin becomes super dry. So it means the world to me when Ash notices that and he asks me if something is wrong. Because sometimes, up until the moment that he asks me that question, I'm not even aware that I'm experiencing disconnection and dysregulation. I'm so enmeshed in my feelings that it kind of overrides my body, and I don't really have space to recognize what's happening. So that simple question of his, it creates space for me to become aware of my feelings and to ultimately feel and process them. So the art of active listening is so powerful. And another side note, and this is especially helpful for men, don't try to fix your partner's emotions unless they've asked you for that. Most of the time, we're just looking for someone to hold space for us in a safe, non-judgmental way. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to be ridiculed. We just want someone to hear us. So let us vent. If you have the mental capacity and we've both agreed that, this is the right time to have a conversation, then let us vent and hold us tight. Emotions don't need fixing. They just need to be heard. Which brings us to my third point, which is making time for each other. We need to be putting an effort to spend quality time together, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes of uninterrupted time, tech-free time, mentally present time, where we can just check in with one another and see how the other person's feeling. And we can stay informed of, one another. And ultimately, that space creates an opportunity for us to ask each other how we'd like to be supported. So maybe in the morning, asking each other what, our day is going to look like. And at the end of the day, asking each other how it went. So A, they know that you cared enough to listen, which is the previous point. And B, that creates an opportunity to say, okay, how did it go? Is there any way that I can help you? How would you like to be supported? Now, some people mistake quality time with spending 24/7 together. I have couples who watch 5 hours of TV every night, and then they come into a session and they say, I don't feel connected. It's not about the hours. It's the quality of the connection. Now, this doesn't mean that 5-minute connections are all you need in a relationship. It is important for us to, plan date nights every now and then when we can. But I don't want you to overlook and underestimate the power of these few intentional minutes of connection every day. And if you're running low on time, super low on time, then definitely do this fourth point as much as you can. And that is 6-second kisses and hugs. Why, you might be thinking? Well, research shows us that after a 6-second hug, oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, starts to flow through us, which also lowers our blood pressure, helps with anxiety, it lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, and it increases this sense of belonging and connection within us. How amazing is that? So the next time you hug your partner, hold on for a little bit longer. When you're parting ways in the morning, sneak in that 6-second kiss. Be intentional with these two physical experiences and see how they're going to transform your relationship. And then, last but not least, compliment each other as much as you can. Be your partner's biggest cheerleader. Highlight their strengths over and over again. Repeat them over and over again. Notice the small details. Every time you notice and vocalize their strengths, that strength grows. And ultimately, I want you to transform your relationship, that time together, and ultimately the home that you might be sharing together, into a space where love grows, and anyone who is connected to that love grows as well. This ties in a lot with gratitude, and gratitude and the art of complimenting really are the secret ingredients of deep emotional intimacy and connection. Now, outside of my own relationship, I have seen how complimenting and gratitude can transform relationships. In fact, I recently had a couple. The wife kept complaining in the sessions that her husband didn't help around the house. And the husband complained that nothing he did felt good enough for her, and he never felt appreciated. So he stopped even doing those little things that he would do before, his own words. Part of their homework that I gave them was to recognize each other's little efforts and to express gratitude for them. At first, so when, I asked for their feedback, at first she told me that it felt fake and forced to notice and express appreciation for those little efforts. But after a while, she realized that he was actually doing a lot for her and for the house that she didn't even notice before. And here's the shocking part. He felt like he could be and wanted to be doing more than what he was doing before. So the more she expressed gratitude, the more she became aware and noticed and recognized and vocalized, the more he wanted to do willingly. The more she complimented him on his efforts, the more he wanted to put in effort. Let that sink in. That is so powerful. And it's a win-win situation. Honestly, Ash and I have been intentional with these 5 habits all throughout our relationship. But over the past couple of months, I would say, I have woken up every morning and the first thing I've asked God and the universe is, help me bring light into the relationship and help me practice these daily habits every day. And I can vouch for how powerful they can be. I know this might be a bit TMI, but in the past when I would be very vocal about the compliments, about gratitude, and I was in a very loving mood, Ash would always joke around and say, "Are you ovulating?" And let me just say this, that he's been asking that question almost every other day these past months. He has been noticing how the energy of love has expanded in our relationship. And so have I, because exactly as I said, it's a win-win situation. When I show up in that capacity, in that form, it impacts him, and then that's how he shows up, which then impacts me, and it kind of just creates this powerful, beautiful domino effect. So friends, I highly recommend for you to write them down. Write these 5 habits down and remind yourself of them every single day until they become part of your daily routine and habit, until they become part of your autopilot. I cannot wait for you all to experience these profound relational shifts. You deserve to be in the most loving, healthy relationship. And I hope that these 5 habits help cultivate that, both from your end and as a result from your partner. Sending you lots and lots of love. Speak soon. Thank you for joining us this week on Minutes on Growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, then make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now.